Sanjog, thank you so much for joining me. So the figures are looking good. Can you tell me in the categories that you usually define these things, which is linear television, concurrent viewership on digital, and of course, people watching in the stadium, which you're not counting, but I guess everyone else is. How is it stacking up?
The World Cup's got off to a solid start, Govind. We've had a couple of big hits, and overall, we're in a good position after the first power play. That's how I would define the start of the World Cup. TV viewers, we are at about 260 million. That is the total number of viewers who have tuned in for the first 11 games. We are nearing 60 billion viewing minutes. That's the total watch time, and an indicator of how engaging the World Cup has been, which is a significant growth, almost a 22% growth over the last edition of the World Cup in 2019. The big hit there, as far as television is concerned, one that we hit for a 6, is the popularity of the World Cup among premium audiences. So if you look at the segment of audiences in SEC A and B, the higher socioeconomic classes, we've seen growth of 40 and 24% respectively in the watch time for these SECs. That basically means that we are attracting higher premium audiences and keeping them engaged for longer in the first 11 matches of the World Cup compared to where we were in 2019. The big hit on the digital side is the concurrency number on the India-Pakistan game. We had 35 million concurrent users watching the World Cup at the same time during the India-Pakistan match, which set a world record for any sporting event on a digital platform.
Right. So to come back to the roughly 60 billion minutes you talked about, so what does that tell us in terms of overall viewership and the way people are consuming content right now, at least in cricket, Sanjog?
So what we are seeing are two things, Govind. One, the allure or stature of the World Cup is attracting a significant audience to come and tune in early. We've had 2 India matches till now. Remember, India plays 9 matches in the league stage and potentially a semi-final and a final going by the form that they're in, which means that this audience size will only grow as the tournament gains momentum. What we are also seeing in week 2 of the tournament, and I'm sure you were watching, 2 big upsets with Afghanistan beating England and Netherlands beating South Africa, which has thrown the tournament wide open. And we're seeing fluctuating fortunes for the top teams, Australia, England, South Africa. And that has created an added layer of interest in the non-India games. So the India games tend to be the ones that are most watched, and they continue to be. But it's the non-India games which are also driving growth, because we are seeing the tournament being flung wide open on account of these 2 upsets and the momentum that the big teams are not being able to gain.
Would the takeaway also therefore be that people are watching television? I mean, the big question outside in is that the number of people who are watching television, as in linear television, through the classic Tata Sky and so on, or Tata Play as it's called today, would be reducing. So does this suggest that it's not changing, or is it's increasing?
TV consumption is as robust as it has ever been, Govind, and that's what these numbers indicate. I think what has happened is fans have started accessing devices based on convenience, accessibility, and just their preference at that point of time. If I'm mobile and I don't have access to a big screen, I choose to engage on the mobile device because I don't have another option. But when I'm home and I want a communal experience or a familial experience, which is immersive and uninterrupted, I choose to watch it on TV. So we will see this pattern continue, where the same fan will actually choose to consume the same event or the same game across different devices based on his or her availability and the accessibility to the device that he or she has at that point. To cut a long story short, television is strong. It seems to be growing, and it seems to be aggregating audiences at scale for an event of stature, which is what the World Cup is delivering. And we're seeing aggregation on the digital side as well. A comparable number, the concurrency, the peak concurrency on digital on the India-Pakistan game, which is the highest on digital for this tournament, was about 35 million. Now we have TV data for the first 11 games, which includes the India-Australia game, and the peak concurrency for the India-Australia game was about 60 million. So clearly there is immense appetite to watch live cricket, which in some sense is this shared experience that all of us have as fans on the big screen, and also look at avenues to stay connected with the game on the mobile stream.
Right. And I know it's still early days. How is all of this playing out from a monetization point of view, Sanjog?
It's again been very strong. I think the combination of the stature of the World Cup, the interesting run up to the World Cup you had with the Asia Cup, which also saw record viewership, the festive season, and advertisers obviously wanting to spend big to acquire users or build brand saliency, has meant that we've signed up 27 sponsors across TV and digital. And I think at last count, more than 500 advertisers. The interesting thing is we are still seeing a lot of demand for inventory on the World Cup, because a lot of advertisers have still not started their campaigns because Diwali is still some time away. So what we are now trying to figure out is how do we make the most of the demand that exists, which will obviously grow on the back of the viewership results that we've seen over the first couple of weeks and the momentum that has been built into the tournament, and maximize both value for advertisers as well as value for fans.
Right. Sanjog, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure, Govind. Thank you so much.